Hey everyone, we're back and I hope that you were able to set some great resolutions with your dog and get to working on them. As promised, this week we're introducing one of our pack members. This is Rufus, our roughly 5 to 6 year old Great Pyrenees. Rufus came to me as my first foster dog from Big Dog's Huge Paws when I was still living in South Dakota. And I'll never forget the email coming across. Are you interested in fostering a 1.5-year-old male Great Pyrenees? And I'm like, sure. There's like one picture of him, of his big fluffy head. It's blurry, and he's like sitting there, and you're looking down on him, and like that's all I get. And that he was good with cats and dogs. So we go to the shelter to pick him up, and I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I have never seen a bigger dog, and I don't know this dog, and how am I going to get him into my pickup? And so he's always been just a sweet soul, but there's always this moment of like, wow, I truly don't know this huge dog. At the time he was 83 pounds, and we just had to lift up one end and then hope for the best and lift up the other, and he rode 45 minutes home like that. When I got him home, at the time I had a female Min Pin, a male Yorkie, and then my female hound. And he just fit right in and was there for me during a really tough time when I lost my childhood Yorkie, and has just always been just the sweetest thing I've ever met. So my friend and I convinced her to help me groom him. He was a mess. He had been an outdoor dog. Basically, he had been found wandering in South Dakota, had wandered onto some other people's property. They were like, sure, we'll just keep him. They had had a Great Pyrenees before, lost theirs to cancer, and just wanted to keep him. But they did not have an actual fenced-in yard. And the thing with Great Pyrenees is they are designed to cover pretty much as much territory as you're willing to give them, but you have to show them what their perimeter is, and you have to have them fenced in. Otherwise, they just assume kind of the whole world is theirs, and they'll just keep going, and then they'll come home, but then they'll, go back out and wander and come home. And unfortunately, in that area, a lot of ranchers who their livelihood is their livestock threaten to do harm to these gentle giants because they're not sure if they would jeopardize their livestock or not. So that's how he ended up with me. I kept him for roughly a month until he was ready to go to his forever home. I knew he wanted to go somewhere with kids. Like, he just melts around little kids. And I knew that with him being cat and dog friendly and people friendly, like, he could literally go to any home. As much as I loved him, there was really no reason for me to keep him. So he went to Colorado. We drove roughly 7 hours, dropped him off with a really nice family there that had 2 kids, no other dogs, and they were seemingly excited. They had a lot of questions. They were definitely taken aback, I guess you could say, by the amount of hair, but overall things went well. I left. I actually hopped on a plane to go to Mexico, came back, and he ended up back with me. So they said that the husband was allergic to dogs. They had had dogs before, and I was like, what about cats? He's been around cats. Maybe he needs to be fully groomed. And they were just like, no, we tried that. Like, it's just not going to work. And so, unfortunately, he came back with me, and I don't doubt that he wasn't taken care of during the 4 days that he was there, but he just was not the same dog that I had left. He was visibly confused and just not himself. He was barking and wouldn't lay down in the car and just super anxious. And the rescue gave me the option to either obviously keep him, foster him more, he could go into another foster home, and then eventually another adoptive home, because there was a long list of people waiting for a dog like him. But Rufus presumably had already had basically 4 homes by then. So whatever first home he came from, then the second one, then when he came to live with me as his third, then his fourth, and it would have been his 5th home. And I was just like, for a 1.5-year-old dog this great, he doesn't deserve to have that kind of uncertainty and being jumped around like that. And so I decided to keep him. Kept the name Rufus because at that point I couldn't even call him anything else, and I've never regretted that decision. He's been the most even keel, well balanced, naturally the best dog that I've probably ever had. It makes me teary-eyed because we help so many other dogs that come in and out of our home that it just means a lot to have this well balanced of a dog here for all of the other dogs that come in that aren't balanced like this. He makes such an impact on them, and he's just such a blessing to my life and the other dog's life, as well as people around him. I know I talked about wanting to get him out more and how much he loves people. Over and over, Rufus is definitely the most gentle giant most people have met. I think that they're a little taken aback by his size at first, but when they realize how slowly and calmly he comes up to them for pets and leans into them, people just can't help but fall in love with him. I've taken him to nursing homes before. He's a nice size for older people to not have to bend down to pet him, and this is Rufus all the time. Now, that being said, everybody says, you know, they're a dog first. First they're an animal, then they're a dog, then they're their breed. And Great Pyrenees are known for a few things that usually get them into trouble or end up in shelters. Digging and barking are probably the 2 biggest things. They can be very territorial because that's what they were bred to do, but really the digging and the barking are the 2 things that most people relinquish them for. And then they're also not always good with dogs of the same gender that they are. So Rufus, for the most part, I don't have any issues with. Can you sit down, buddy? I might lose him. We gained 1, and I might lose this one. Can you sit? I'm out of treats. Rufus, can you sit? So Great Pyrenees are well known for also not being obedient. And so anytime that I'm able to get Rufus to do anything, I just pride myself because they're not known for commands or anything like that. And he's definitely getting hot and uncomfortable in here. But anyway, so obviously besides the hair has not always been a fun thing to deal with, the other thing is he's still a barker. So anytime he sees things going on around our property, he wants to let us know. And so we just have some rules for him. Basically, he's allowed to bark enough to let us know that there's something there, but then when we ask him to stop, he has to stop or I bring him inside. And that's mainly just as a courtesy to my neighbors. I also have kind of like quiet hours, so I don't let him go out barking before 6 a.m. and I try not to let him bark after 9 or 10 p.m. so he comes inside every night. He has a dog door. He loves spending most of his time outside, but he comes in every night and he just sleeps on the floor in the living room. It's his favorite spot. It's where it's nice and cool, and just really likes to hang out. Every once in a while you can get him kind of excited and get him to play ball, but beyond that, this is pretty much what he does. He just exists and enjoys life just like this, and tolerates Rooster jumping up in his face and licking him, and he tolerates the other cats and all of that. And yeah, so that's Rufus. Next week I'll introduce you to the other munchkin who had a little cameo here, Rooster. You've seen him in other videos before, but I'll formally introduce him next week. Until then, enjoy your dog and have a great week.